Hey folks, my name is Pravus, and welcome to more Plague Inc. Evolved, where we are continuing our series of Mega Brutal guides. It is time for the Necroa virus, one of my personal favorite disease types, though a lot of people do struggle with this one, and I can understand why. Kind of like the Neurax worm, it requires a very different approach and playstyle. You can try to spread a disease and infect the world like you would with anything else, but really that should be taking a backseat to one priority: evolving a super horde of mutant unstoppable zombies. If you can do that, you can win this scenario with 5 stars, even on Mega Brutal, pretty easily, and it works 90% of the time. Now, as far as our genetics, I'm going to go for Metabolic Jump for the extra DNA as I play. Darwinist for the extra mutation chance can sometimes be helpful, but I'm not really worried about the cure, so to me this is the only choice that makes some sense. I'm going to go for Suppression instead of Aquasite for the same reason that I do that with the Neurax worm. We can get to islands without much trouble. It's going to be spreading by land that's going to speed up our score, though you could go for Aerosite. That would work with my strategy here as well. Believe it or not, I'm going to swap away from Extremophile for once and go for Herbophile. Reason being, the urban environments usually coincide with very high population countries. High populations means lots of zombies. Lots of zombies means I can attack the world faster and more effectively, so spreading faster there is going to be good for me. And then finally, the Necroa virus does have a number of unique genes just for this scenario. Some of them are going to focus on creating more zombies, some reduce decay, and then there's spliced activation, reducing the cost of using abilities. This is a good choice. There is nothing wrong with this one. If you want to go for 5 stars though, I tend to have more luck with Dopamine Inhibitor, which creates more zombies, and having more zombies means I tend to have a better chance of winning. But if you're struggling with this strategy, fine, drop the Dopamine Inhibitor, try Spliced Activation, and give that one a go. Mega Brutal, we'll call this one Gloomy Condition, and move over toward Saudi Arabia, because even now, the Saudis can't escape the zombie plague. So normally, we would go for a bunch of symptoms here, but instead I'm going to go for a couple of transmissions first. So the symptoms basically are what's going to lead toward the reanimation of your zombies. And in the past, I have said, yeah, just go ahead and skip everything, do nothing but go for zombies as fast as you can, and you can win. And I'd say that's a very reliable way of winning on Mega Brutal. But I found after doing a bit more playtesting that I tend to get a better score and move a little bit faster if I go for just a couple of transmissions first. Since I started in Saudi Arabia, I want to go for Blood, which unlocks air. If I go for 2 levels of air, that usually can get me a bit of a better spread across the different continents before I start resurrecting the zombies. At least that is the idea. Sometimes you get lucky with it, sometimes you don't. I've had some games where, for example, I just never spread to South America for whatever reason. That's where ZCOM spawns, and then all of a sudden I really struggle to win the scenario. That can happen, but this really does give you a better chance, I think, of being in a position to respond to ZCOM when it does spawn. And if you don't know what I'm talking about with ZCOM, don't worry. You will find out very soon. So now that we have Air 2, we're going to finally swap back over to our symptoms and look for creating our zombies. Now, there's 2 different routes you can go. There's Insomnia and there's Hypersalivation. This route mostly is going to lead toward, like, insanity and stuff. It's going to reduce some of the cure progress. It's okay, but the cure doesn't really matter, because just because they cure disease does not mean that you don't have millions of zombies running around. So I'm not worried about it. Instead, I'd rather have the extra infectivity, severity, and eventually some lethality by going down the Hypersalivation route, and that's what we're going to do. Now, you will find with the Necroa virus, it tends to be a little bit of a slower start to the game. For whatever reason, it's a little bit harder to come by all of your DNA. You don't have things like symptostasis working for you, so yeah, prepare to sit back and wait for a little bit. But once you start spreading across the world, it's going to start moving very, very quickly. We picked up Polyphagia, then we're going to go for Gastroenteritis. Now, we haven't got a lot of severity, and that is one thing that does bother me at the beginning of the scenario. You have a little less DNA to work with because of this, and it does kind of slow things down, which is where the ATP boost is a perfectly reasonable thing to do instead of what I did. You could do that, but I think this is going to work out just fine for us eventually. Now, one thing that's important to note is your stat priority in this scenario is completely different. Normally, you think going for tons of infectivity early on with a little bit of severity is what you want to do, then eventually swap to nothing but lethality. Infectivity is only helpful with the Necroa virus up to a point. Once we've got a spread across the world and they start getting pretty aggressive with that cure, I don't really really care about infectivity. I don't even care about lethality because killing people and letting them stay dead isn't my point. Having more effective zombies who can not only fight off ZCOM but spread and infect more people, that's what's going to win the scenario. As such, you really want to focus on nothing but severity. It's the most important stat in this scenario. Once you start getting zombies, it's the only thing you should care about. Now that we have enough DNA, let's go ahead and pick up the Cytopathic Reanimation. So this is going to turn the dead into zombies. Cannibalism is going to get some people killed, then they're going to start becoming zombies. The zombies are going to look for more food, they're going to hunt down other people who aren't infected, which is going to kill more people and create more zombies, etc., until it becomes completely out of control. So now we want to help them along, make them as powerful as possible. So like I said, we're going for severity. I'm going to go for Anaerobic Resuscitation. Here we could go down a couple of different routes. We could go for enhanced sensory integration, which is okay, can lead to a lot of combat advantage, but I find that going down enhanced motor control route in this side of the tree tends to give better severity and better combat advantages overall, so we're going to pick this up. This is also good in urban environments, which is especially useful to me right now. Then we're going to go down Peptide Surge and Acidic Reflux and so on. Notice this says it not only increases severity, but it gives zombies a combat advantage. That is critical for when you do eventually fight against ZCOM. So we want to be getting as much of that as possible, and this route over here tends to come with a lot, though we will be picking up more beyond this. Like, trust me, this is all we care about now, are lots of symptoms. So we got Acidic Reflux, we're going to go for Naja Mortis, then we're going to go for Autothysis, and this is going to be a huge boost to severity and combat advantage. Now, this is going really well so far. We've spread pretty well. We're in every continent. Europe's looking a little sparse, but we're pretty much everywhere I want to be. I'll bet you ZCOM spawns around like Scandinavia or something, or maybe Western Africa. We're going to find out in just a bit. But, yeah, we have a very good spread right now, so this is looking solid, but we're moving so fast. ZCOM hasn't even spawned, which is shocking to me, because usually I don't even get to Autothysis before ZCOM arrives. But here we are. They're set. So, okay, let's actually stop from our symptoms for a second and focus on something totally new, and that is going to be our abilities. Now, the Necroa virus also comes with unique abilities, mainly to move your hordes around between countries, which is a great way of infecting new places. We can also reduce the decomposition of our zombies so they stick around longer, or we could just like press a button and reanimate more zombies. I don't usually think this is worth the DNA. What we care about right now is going to be our horde instinct and structured travel. We want our zombies to be able to move around. Now, for whatever reason, the abilities here are dirt cheap. Dyskinetic movement cost me 1 point, and then Echopraxia costs 0, and Engorge Quadriceps costs 0 as well. I don't know why. I feel like that might be a new bug in a recent update, because I don't think that was the case a few years ago when I did this. You don't need to pick up these last two abilities over here. You'll move plenty fast, but if they're free, I guess why the heck not? So we're going to pick this up. Might as well. And then we're going to start thinking about moving to different countries. So this is going to create this new ability. You can see this right over here. Zombie abilities. We can just click a button and say, all zombies, pack up from Russia, move to Finland, or whatever it's going to be. Now, at the moment, it's only going to send like a handful of zombies. We're talking like 7. That's all it takes in order to start infecting the entire world. It'll work very effectively, but we really want to have more than that. I want to have horde mentality, horde vocalization, and then horde pheromones. So instead of a few dozen zombies, we start sending millions. My goal is to smother ZCOM in the cradle as soon as it appears, which is basically right now. So I'm going to go ahead and send a bunch of zombies. Well, hang on. I would send them out of China. I kind of need to get horde pheromones. Otherwise, I'm just going to send like 40,000, and I need a few million. So we're actually going to hold up for a second. ZCOM spawning is a little bit dangerous, but I think we'll be okay. If you don't know what ZCOM is, basically this nation has just become a fortress against the zombie horde. So any zombies that come in here are going to be systematically hunted down and exterminated before they can infect the population. These guys will get stronger the longer they sit untouched. We need to kill them quickly. They will also send out these planes to create some new bases in other countries. So France is also now very well protected. So we need to be fighting against that. That's why speed is now of the essence. But now I have very fast-moving, huge hordes of zombies, and just using China alone, I should be able to get into Russia, then get into Baltic states, and start working toward places like France. But we need DNA, of course, and this is where having things like the spliced activation would have been very helpful. Now, I could have just sent the zombies from Russia, but it's only 16. I'd rather send 15 million zombies out of China, almost instantaneously infecting places like Russia. It's going to hit critical mass very, very quickly, and now we can send a bunch of them out from Russia into the Baltic states. I will also surround them in places like Ukraine. I want to have all neighboring countries getting infected so I can just send constant hordes over in this direction as much as we can. And we're getting a decent amount of DNA all of a sudden. Let's go ahead and start infecting a few other high population areas, like, let's say, the United States and Canada. I also don't want to forget about some islands. Let's go to Japan. Let's make sure we get into Australia, New Guinea. We want to get to the Philippines. I can go from the UK up to Iceland. That's fine. We'll then go to Greenland from there. Now, if ZCOM spawns on an island or sets up base on an island, you will need to pick up the drifting fermentation, which I'll go ahead and pick up just for demonstration. Normally, your zombies move very slowly across the ocean. This makes them move very, very quickly. So you'll need that to respond. Now, with all of our extra DNA, we just focus on getting more severity and combat advantage. Let's go for masticatory tension, then we want to go for things like lumbrical hypertrophy, we want to go for anabolic boost, we want to get adrenal surge. Again, anything that just keeps boosting up that severity and that combat advantage, that's what's going to help me here. So let's pick this up. I mean, we are setting up here in the Baltic states, and it looks like ZCOM's about to get overrun. They're also sending a plane to New Zealand. I want to preemptively start sending a bunch of zombies over here before they can get too strong. Europe is really fighting against me right now, and I don't approve of this. We need to spread faster in a few places here, so let's go ahead and continue sending zombie hordes as we work toward France. Let's get up into Canada. Let's get up into Greenland. That's going to leave the Caribbean and Morocco as far as getting infected, so let's fix that real quick. And that'll be all of the countries. And this is why I'm not even slightly worried about the cure. It just doesn't matter. Like, we're going to infect every country, and then once you have zombies there, unless ZCOM is present, the zombies will eat you. It's going to happen. New Zealand, by the way, is about to get obliterated, so now it's all a matter of speed, getting over here into France as fast as possible. We're going to start moving hordes over, and this is where we want to have lots of DNA stored up, not only to improve our effectiveness, which I will pick up the anabolic boost, by the way, but also just so we can keep sending the zombies over here. Now I'm going to move from Italy over into France. Germany can continue infecting for just a little bit longer. I just want to get some power here. Looks like France did not manage to set up too well, so they can't stop us. If ZCOM is strong enough, you're going to find they are killing zombies faster than you can continue infecting. But the thing is, the starting base for ZCOM is always the strongest. The chapter branches, less so. So the fact that we wiped that out so quickly means that we really have no threat. In fact, ZCOM has now already been eradicated. The only thing that matters now, infect the rest of the countries, move as fast as you can, and just win. All right? That's all we care about. Move as fast as we can. Any country that is, like, not fully infected, we'll just go ahead and take them down. By the way, you might be wondering, what are these bubbles right here if you haven't seen these before? When you fully infect a country and every single person is a zombie, or dead, then they will give you that bubble. And that basically shows that the zombies are now kind of like starving. They have no new targets to hunt for, which is a bit of a problem because eventually your zombies will decay and you'll run out of them. That's where having decay resistance can be helpful. They last a lot longer. But in this case, all I care about is in spreading through Russia, because Russia is the only country left that has not been fully infected. So we'll just keep sending more zombies here so there's nowhere to hide. And there we go. We did just get the spitter combo, so we evolved the enhanced sensory integration for free with mutation. That does pair up nicely with Naja Mortis. Normally doesn't work though. This is all the symptoms I usually find that I need. And that's it. That really is the end of the scenario. I'm pretty sure we won this and we're gonna get 5 stars. We sure as heck did. Look at that. Easy, folks. Easy. 411 days, 92% cure progress. They didn't even finish the cure. All right, that's actually new for me. I don't think I've done this strategy and they haven't at least finished the cure. It doesn't matter. But usually they don't. Oh, wow. Okay. I actually feel really good about that one. 118,840 points. Solid lineup. Solid demonstration from me here. Yeah, no, the Necroa virus is fine. It's really not that hard of a scenario. Again, picking up the extra air transmissions early just means that you have zombies spawning all over the world, so you can respond a little bit quicker when ZCOM sets up. And then from there, really, it's a question of how good is your micro, and then how good are you at responding to ZCOM. That's it. If you're lucky, ZCOM spawns like it did for us in a place where we can easily deal with it using the mass from China and just hopscotching over there. But sometimes you're going to find them spawn in a really bad spot and it's hard to deal with. Okay, fine, maybe you get worse score, or maybe you have to restart, but eventually it is going to pan out very nicely. It's a solid strategy, it's a solid scenario. And the cool thing about the Necroa virus on top of that, it's actually the prequel for After Ink, which is coming out in just a few days, so that is something to look forward to. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, I would ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, hit that notify bell, and I will see you guys next time.